She had 31 videos of the exact same moment before she realized none of them were the same moment at all. Serafina Duclos Okoro worked as a data analyst, the kind of job that trained her to notice trends buried in long columns of numbers most people would never think to compare. She assumed that instinct made her unusually good at spotting patterns in her own life, too. It took her an entire month of daily video clips to prove herself wrong. Her Doberman Magnus had a nightly ritual with 8-month-old Odalis that had started almost by accident. Every evening at bath time, the baby would erupt into delighted, full-body giggles at the sight of the running water, and Magnus would trot over, plant his front paws up on the edge of the tub, and press his face close to hers, tail going, clearly delighted by the sound. Serafina filmed it nearly every night for the family album. It was, without question, the happiest 30 seconds of her day. Somewhere around the second week, without really noticing, she started filming from the same angle each time, almost like her subconscious was trying to compare something. Magnus's tail wag, she'd occasionally think, seemed a little different some nights than others, but she never slowed down enough in the moment to ask why. That detail would matter. She didn't know that yet. By the third week, she had enough clips that her data analyst brain, almost against her will, started doing what it always did with a stack of similar information, looking for the outlier. One night, scrolling back through the videos before bed, she noticed something odd. On the nights Odalis's giggles came in short, slightly breathless bursts, rather than long, easy peals, Magnus's tail wag slowed noticeably, and he lingered at the tub's edge longer than usual, nose pressed nearer to her face than his normal, enthusiastic hover. Her husband, Idris, scrolling beside her, said the thing that made the pattern impossible to unsee. Watch his tail on this one versus this one. He's not as happy in this clip. Look at his face. Serafina replayed 6 clips back to back. Idris was right. On nights with the shorter, breathless giggles, Magnus wasn't just enjoying the moment. He was staring at Odalis's mouth with a stillness that didn't match his usual bath time joy at all. She still didn't act on it that night. It felt like reading too much into home videos, the data analyst equivalent of finding a pattern in noise. 4 nights later, the giggles cut off mid-laugh into that same short, breathless catch she'd noticed on the odd clips. Except this time it didn't resolve back into laughter at all. It hung there, thin and effortful. Magnus didn't wag his tail once. He pressed his face fully against Odalis's cheek and held it, a low whine rising steadily. Serafina's analyst brain finally caught up with what the videos had been quietly telling her for 2 weeks. She lifted Odalis from the water immediately and listened to her breathing directly. The way she should have the very first night the pattern appeared on camera, a faint high catch on every inhale that had nothing to do with the bathwater at all, she had Odalis at urgent care within 20 minutes. Dr. Patience Enzeram Doyle, pediatric pulmonology, listened to Odalis's lungs and identified an early-stage respiratory tightness triggered by a mild but progressing viral illness. The kind that shows almost no daytime symptoms but reveals itself in short bursts of effort, like laughing or crying, long before it becomes visible any other way. The breathlessness only shows up under exertion at the stage, Dr. Enzeram Doyle explained. If this had gone another few nights without anyone catching it, we could be looking at a much harder recovery. Serafina sat with that sentence in the waiting room for a long time, her phone still open to the video gallery, 31 clips in a row she'd spent a month treating as identical. Magnus's tail slowing on the exact nights the giggles turned breathless. Not an inconsistent mood, he was reading a chemical and rhythmic shift in Odalis's breathing that only appeared under exertion weeks before it became audible to anyone reviewing the footage after the fact. The extra second he lingered, nose to her cheek, on those specific nights, not distraction from his own excitement. A dog quietly checking something that mattered more than the bathwater. 31 videos, and the pattern had been sitting in her own camera roll the entire time. If you love stories about what animals notice before we do, subscribe. We post a new one every week. Odalis's treatment worked quickly. The following week, her bath time giggles came back long and easy, no catch at the end of them, and Magnus's tail wagged the way it always had before, full and unbothered. Has your dog ever noticed something in your child that was sitting in your own photos or videos the whole time? Tell us in the comments below. These stories deserve to be heard. Serafina still films bath time most nights. She watches Magnus's tail now the way she used to watch spreadsheet trends at work. Not because she expects trouble, but because she finally understands what he was showing her all along. If these stories matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Next week's story is about a dog who refused to leave a nursery for 4 nights straight and turned out to be the only one paying attention.